Welcome back to Studio Chatter. Our next guest is well known in our community, but did you know that she is involved in the efforts to help the people of Ukraine? Let's welcome Mary Crafts to the table. Hello.
Welcome.
I'm just thrilled to be here. I see your advertisements all the time. I thought, gee, those girls look so nice, and here I am.
Here
We
you
are so blessed to have you. I was telling everyone that I was just listening to KSL 102.7 one afternoon, and I was listening and you were being interviewed. And it just caught my attention. And I drove around in my car because I wanted to finish listening.
Which says a lot when gas prices are what they are.
This is true. $100 conversation. But anyway, I was just engaged with what you're doing. And so I reached out and you're so kind enough to come on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially when you offered, a different time than during the day, because I'm kind of booked from now into eternity during the day. And so, I could do this a little bit at your convenient time and my convenient time. The answer was, of course.
And that you're from Spanish Fort.
I know.
I've lived here for 30 years, yeah.
30 years.
Wow, I
Isn't that
love it.
amazing? Yeah, we have a good town.
So, Mary, I did not listen to KSL.
Okay.
So, start from the beginning. What have you been doing in Ukraine?
Well, the short version, which is probably the long version for you guys, is that really I received a new direction for my life in January.
Okay.
And that direction was, instead of being about helping people release fear and embrace love and discover all of those things that are holding them back, which I've loved doing on my podcast, I kind of embraced a new mission, which is oneness. How to create oneness on our planet. And that, having that goal out there has opened the doors to so many things for me. So the first week of March, when I was sitting watching the actual invasion happening in Ukraine, and there was that gentleman from the Ukraine the old gentleman who put his hands up on the tank.
Yes.
And just was not going to move. He was not letting that Russian tank in his country. And I just watched this, are they going to run over him? And then they just kept coming, because even the soldiers, if they didn't want to, felt, what will happen to me if we don't?
Yeah,
Yes.
they had to.
I will be, probably killed. My family will be killed. I have to continue forward. And so then he laid down in front of their tracks on their tank, and it just kept coming. And they're inside please move. I have to do this. And he wasn't. And so his family finally ran out and pulled him out of the way. And I thought to myself, you just need more hands on the tank. And if I really am about oneness, I can be those hands. And why not me? I'm retired, I'm 68, I don't have children at home, I don't have to show up to work, I don't have a gun to my head, I have the resources to buy a plane ticket.
And you're Superwoman.
I was just going to say,
all of that.
so what are you going to do? Walk over
Did
to
you-
your
did you
hands?
wear your
I
cape
heard
when
that
you
on
went?
her podcast. I can be the hands.
Okay,
I
but
know
what
it's
does
me
that
that
look
needs to
like?
go.
Well, I didn't know what it looked like. And so I first just thought, okay, I'm just going to go to Ukraine, I'm going to show up, and put me to work, or give me a gun.
my gosh,
I'm pretty
Mary.
good with the shotgun. I don't know about an AK-47, but I'm pretty good with the shotgun. And I really didn't know. I just thought I'm going to go. And as I looked into it, I talked to different organizations that were working in Ukraine, such as the Red Cross and UNICEF and the United Nations and different nonprofits, and they all asked the same question. Are you medical personnel?
Okay.
No. Are you ex-military? No. Well, what is your special skill?
Did you tell me you could cook?
No, what I told them was, I give good hugs. I mean, that was for me.
And you know what? They
Let
can
me
all-
hear, baby, let me
All your
hold you.
wheelhouse.
Yes. that was my wheelhouse. And so they were like, okay, thanks, but don't come to Ukraine. You're actually going to be more of a hindrance than you are help.
Okay.
If you're not military or if you're not medical. But you can work in the refugee camps that are just on the border, and that will be great. So look into that. So I was going to go to Romania, because so many people were helping in Poland. I felt like
Yes.
Romania needed help. And I was going to go to Romania, and I got my ticket from Delta, and I was going to put my boots on the ground there. I'm going to take all my hiking boots and my gear and my headlamp and my whole stuff that I had to climb. Well, because I climbed Kilimanjaro 3 years ago, and so I had all that stuff.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm going to go. And then Delta said, I'm sorry, we've canceled flights to that city because it's too close to the border. I'm like, okay, perhaps this is a little dangerous.
Perhaps.
And I posted that on social media about, now I was not quite sure what I was doing. One of my girlfriends reached out to me, who is the founder and president of Exodus, and said, do you want to go with us? We're sending another mission over. I go, yeah. And she said, so we're flying into Bucharest in Romania. We'll have to all get in this small, tiny van and take it to the border. I didn't realize there were really, seriously, 9 of us in this little minivan. And I sat like this. And the guy, the driver, kept turning around and goes, anybody need to stop? And no one would say anything. So I'm like, it's not going to be me. I'm not going to say anything. No. And so I rode, and I had so many van rides like that in there, not moving for like 7 hours, that when I got home, my knees were like cantaloupe. They just were not.
So
not
you
good.
got to these refugee camps, and how did they put you to work? What were you able to do?
Well, sometimes we just went to the border.
Okay.
And we just tried to see what we could do. Can we serve soup? Can we help people? People were coming in these buses, and one of the hardest things I witnessed was a car drive up to the border, and it was a father and his wife and 2 small boys. And they get out, and you can see that he's telling them that they must go. And she's just like shaking her head, and the little children are just clinging onto him. And like, no, papa, papa. And he realizes the only way that they're going to go across this border is if he leaves. And so he just turned to her, and he just shoved her. And then jumped in his car, tears, and he drove off. And they stood there and watched him until they couldn't see him anymore. And then this beautiful Ukrainian woman just took a deep breath, gathered her children, and turned, and they came across the border.
This is happening to real people, and I think that was my connection with you. We put it like so far away that this is maybe not reality, but it's really happening, and they really need our help.
And when I actually was in some of the refugee camps, I worked in a church that had been turned into a camp. And it's amazing the questions that they had for me. And in fact, I sometimes, it made me really quite humble. No one ever asked me, are you from the U.S., or referred to me as the United States, or anything like that. They would say, how are things in America? And they would say it with this reverence that I used to have in first grade when you'd sing, America, and the tears would come down my eyes and my dad's eyes, who served in
Just
World
that
War II.
pride for
They were
our
just
country.
solid. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm from America. And they would ask questions like, is there war in America? No, we don't have war. How do I go to America? At the time, we were closed to immigration from Ukrainian refugees. And then since then, that's opened up, but the process is like grinding.
So hard.
And one person said to me, does half of America hate us and half of America love us? And I said, tell me about your question before I answer that. Where's that coming from?
Right.
And she said, well, we know Trump likes Russia, and half of your country likes Trump. And we know half of your country doesn't like Trump, and so we figure those people must like us. And when I understood her question, this is how I answered her. I said, we are very divided politically, and we have been separate, us and them, for several years, and it's just getting worse. But on this, on you, it does not matter what party you are. We have come together, and we are united once again as a country to serve you.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that interesting? Almost the silver lining of this great tragedy that we're witnessing is you're seeing compassion come out. When people just a year or two ago were seeing riots and burning of towns all over the U.S.
It just puts everything into perspective, I think. That you were saying like that they had nothing, and when you came back, that culture shock of like almost judgment towards people who had things and focused on things.
Yeah, they didn't want to open up their world. Wait a minute, don't let those refugees in here.
Right.
You know, we got to protect what we have. And that attitude for me, I was headed to the studio to record when I heard this talk to the governor, and this woman was complaining about letting refugees into our state. And I stayed in people's homes that had nothing. And yet they opened them to us. We slept on their floors. They gave us blankets. They made the B&B, what we called the B&B broth and bread. And that was all they had, but they gave it to us.
Wow.
They wanted us to have that. And
what's our fear? Have you
I think
found?
it's a scarcity fear.
I was going to say that
we get
exactly.
wrapped up in afraid of not having enough ourselves. And so we are afraid that we think if we hold it tighter to us, that we can protect what's ours. And I'm worried about feeding my family too, you know. But in this position, how can we possibly receive? It is only in this position of the same. As we give, we are also in the position to receive. And that's how I want to live my life. And that's why I went, that's why I'm going back. What I've realized is that the more I give, the more I receive.
What do you want to do when you go back?
Taking a computer, I couldn't find a computer there. I'm taking a hotspot, I couldn't find any access to internet. And I'm going to help women process, because the men aren't there, help women process visas and get in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Found a need.
I know very, very clearly what I'm doing.
Now, so to come here, to come to America, is that what, or just to process to get them other places?
Any place.
Any place.
Yeah. And we've opened up 100,000 spots for those refugees now. I think we need to move that to about 500,000. There are 5 million of them.
I know.
Yeah,
And
we can
that's
step
just
up a
such
lot
The
a
more.
European
small-
Union, I mean, Poland, we were in Moldova as well. And they have received more refugees than the population in their country.
Oh my.
That's insane.
And they have given to the point they have nothing else to give. They can't feed themselves now.
They need help now.
They need help.
But our country's willing to let 100,000 people in.
And so
It's a little bit
But if every
embarrassing
country
to
would
just say
take a
that.
little bit, then we could all help each
All
other.
help.
Because I think it's scared for the next time around, then what happens? And I feel like people are moving towards that America feeling. They need that.
I wear this around my neck every day and I never take it off. And this is a European euro with the number 1 cut out. It's just a single euro. But it reminds me every day when I hold it that I am only one. But one is enough to make a difference. And that's what I ask us all to do.
Thank you,
Mary.
Mary, so much.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
welcome.
You have so many stories to tell. We're going to come back to you.
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
We need to take a short break, but stay with us for more with Mary Crafts.